Hey y'all, here's another episode of Bonafide Podcast featuring the one and only Juan Chantaca.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Look, when Joy recommended me to you, I was like, yes, let me do that because I was telling her I saw the clip that y'all did at AthleteCon. I was like, this is so cute. I was like, I am here for it.
Yeah.
But let's get to it. So Juan, can you tell us your sports story to how you got to where you are?
Yes. So I grew up playing soccer for about 10 years of my life. And then after I transitioned from elementary, middle school, and high school, I started, I tried out to play football first because I looked up to my older brother. But that, that kind of path didn't turn out as how I wanted it to. And then I looked into cross country because my older sister did it as well. And so I thought I'd why not try out cross country. And after that, I kind of just took off. Like I found a passion and love for running, and I really loved the idea of pushing your body to the limits while also having fun with it, and also just teaching people and getting to bond with others about running. Because as you know, running right now is starting to take off. So it's kind of cool to see a lot of people out there and ask for my input and stuff like that. I come from a big sporting family, a big sports background.
Hey, it sounds like it's like a sports royalty family right there for you. Just like you got one
Yes.
for football, you got the cross country and track, and I'm like, oh, it's like it could correlate to one another. So, but this leads to my question. With track and field and cross country for you at Irvine, what would you say are some of the misconceptions when it comes to the mid-major competition?
Um, like a couple of, could you explain that in depth just a little bit more?
Yes, of course. So misconceptions, like some people like to look down on mid majors or like Division two if it's not like say the Division one or like they try to like people like to downplay mid major competition because it's not D one, it's nothing. But
Yeah.
okay, so that's what I mean misconception. Like what
Okay.
what would you say from your experience at Irvine in the mid major competition that is in, what would you say some of the misconceptions of the mid major competition?
I'd say that since my time in the NCAA, that all the divisions are equal. I feel like there's been kids that are in Division three that are running just as fast as I am, and I'm running pretty quick at UCI. Um, I go to track meets, and everyone wants to be held to this prestigious standard or say that they're Division one, but once you get on like the starting line, all that kind of goes out the door, and everyone is on equal playing field. I feel like, especially now, it doesn't really matter what division you go into. That could be NAIA, JUCO, Division three, two, or one. You're gonna find that good training anywhere, and honestly, even that good academic schooling anywhere too. So I feel like the misconception of like you have to go Division one in order to be good is like the biggest lie I think anyone could ever tell.
Absolutely, for sure. Because like I look at it is I come from a mid major, and like you would think like everybody has that mindset. Like yes, D1 is like for them it's like the end all be all. But yet it's like, would you rather showcase your talent at like say a mid major NAIA JUCO where you're able to showcase your talent and you're valued and appreciated, or would you rather just be at a big D1 college where you might be on the bench for a long time
Mhm.
and not be able to showcase, but you're there just because it's like the name. So
Yes.
that's like I think that's like one of the biggest things that where for athletes we tend to like try to try to find our value, but it's like you could find your value at, say, where you're going to be valued, where you're able to showcase. Because if you're going to be on the bench and you go to somewhere and you're not going to be able to showcase your talent, it's like, man, like you got to go where you're going to be valued and not tolerated.
Yeah, and I see that quite a bit, especially in the running world. I always tell a lot of people when they're coming to visit and stuff like that, like, you want to go to a school where you're going to be valued, where you feel like you're going to be valued. And I mean, you see it in the Big West. Some kids will go to the top school in the Big West for running is Cal Poly, but they only run six to like eight of their guys. And then there's like 15 guys on the roster. And, it keeps stacking. And they want to go there because of the name, but then they don't ever get to run. Like you said, they get benched or they get injured and they struggle to get back up because there's this big hierarchy of power struggle. And I mean, I'm sure you see it in other sports with like basketball where the most talented players are playing and then you get no playing time as well. It's the same thing with running. You go to a school, you want to get faster, you want to run in the faster meets, but you can't do that because there's faster guys and they're taking up all those travel spots and things. So, I mean, it goes back to the same concept of you don't need to go Division 1 or be at these big schools to progress in your training or be the best athlete that you can be. It mainly is going to a place that you're going to feel valued and a coach that's going to value you as a person.
Absolutely. And this leads to my question. First of all, yeah, you went to. Saw that y'all went to. You and Joy went to AthleteCon 3.0. First of all, shout out to Sam Green for AthleteCon because it's amazing. But for you, what was that like for you to be part of AthleteCon 3.0?
I thought it was an amazing experience. I mean, I'm not big on the creator side of things. I only got started recently getting into it because of my girlfriend Joy, and she's an amazing creator. I think she creates the best videos, and like the content is just starting to get up there after AthleteCon. And to go there and connect with all these brands like Meta and Cherish and Barbells, or even Firefly, like some of these running products that I use on the daily basis. It was really awesome to connect and be able to grow those connections as well and also create the content for them. I think it really opened my eyes that NIL is such an important thing that colleges should be teaching students or student athletes because it opens another door for them in terms of getting product, but also getting money as well. I think a lot of college kids struggle to find jobs in college or struggle to put themselves through college like that. And being able to have a good and creative NIL kind of subsidizes those issues and promotes it to a stronger, to more people, and it allows them to create a bigger platform for themselves. So they get more out of it than what NIL used to be. And after going to AthleteCon, I think it really opened my eyes to everything that I miss because my school at UCI really promoted NIL, but I didn't know or really capitalize on that until 3 years later. And after AthleteCon, it really pushed me to want to do it, especially content creating with Joy. I think that's going to take off and we'll be able to be big content creators.
That would be so like it was so interesting because I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, oh y'all like the power couple, like the running track and field power couple. It's like yeah, like like Tara Woodall Hall and I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, but y'all gonna be like y'all are like the power couple of collegiate like track and field, like especially like to see like when I first saw that y'all did the it was when you were on the treadmill and you're like talking to her and I was like, oh my gosh, like if I was trying to run and talk on the treadmill, I'd probably fall. I was like, I can't do it, but y'all got it. I was like, that video with the cherish was so. I was like, that was so good. It was so adorable. Cause like, this is so cute. I love it. I'm here for it. So this leads to my question. you have a sister that did cross country. You got a girl, you have girlfriend that does cross country, and women's sports is on the rise. Would you say both your sister and Joy has inspired you to advocate for women's sports?
Oh, of course. I think you're watching my sister and also dating a woman in a higher athletic field. I think it really opened my eyes to the importance of women's sports and the the importance of what's the word? Not content, but it's support.
Visibility.
Support and visibility. Yes, support. Because my sister growing up, it was always men's soccer and men's lacrosse over women's soccer, women's lacrosse. So you're seeing that there, I'd go to her games and there'd be like maybe 20 moms there to watch women's lacrosse. But then you go to a guys game and it's like it's all packed and you have everyone there in the stands. So I think after seeing that and after watching her get out of the NCAA and now having a girlfriend who's running, I think it really made me want to advocate more for women's sports and the support for them as well.
So for you, like, with track, it's so big in the Olympic season. Like a lot of people watch the Olympics for track and season. Do you hope to see more like visibility opportunities when it comes to the track and field and the collegiate level where it's being shown everywhere?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see big major newscasts or broadcasts promote more of women's sports. I think it's very like you see it in a lot of commercials where it's a lot more male dominated. So it will attract more of that male audience. But the more I think if you push more visibility towards women's sports, like the track side, the pole vaulting side, or even the sprinting side, like just pushing that out even more and broadcasting it in a bigger spectrum towards people will and should allow it to be more visible to the public.
Absolutely. Because I will say, I went to track and field meet and stuff. I'm gonna say this: it is fun. I don't know why people think it is not fun. You get to see not just one, but you get to see multiple events happening at the same time. I'm like, this is fun.
Yeah.
Where's everybody? I'm like, I would think it'd be. It is free, y'all. It is free. FREE. Like you ain't got to pay. Like
Yeah.
it's like it is fun to watch. I'm like, y'all got it. I'm here for it. Like y'all got this. Like so, but my question for you is, as an athlete, and a man, how important is mental health to you?
I would say mental health is probably the most important thing to me over fitness and performance any day. I mean, an example that I'm going to give you is growing up, I had an injury or coming out of high school, sorry. I had an injury, I broke my foot going into college and I was not in the right mental space. I was going to call my coach, my college coach and tell him to pull my scholarship and tell him that I wasn't going to go to college because I broke my foot. I mean, as an athlete from high school, we never really focused on mental health. We never really took a time to sit down and talk about it or even strengthen it. I think mental health for athletes is everything something everyone needs to prioritize because it also helps those who are struggling with injuries or burnout or just struggling to get out of anything that they're going with. It allows them to lean on not only their coaches and their friends or people around them, but it also allows them to lean on their sport more and realize, hey, that like everything's gonna be okay, even if I have this injury. Like, show have them realize that it's not gonna be end all be all. I feel like the more you have that mental health aspect like nailed down, the the better your performance is as well. I think, and I see that a lot in training. Like, there's a really bad and toxic side to mental health where people are very selfish or prideful or they put themselves above one another and it never really goes with the team. And that can also be the downfall of a team as well or a running team. So there's different aspects of mental health that I'm talking about here right now where it's like your own like goals and mindset, but also the mental health aspect of injuries and stuff like that. So I think in a broad spectrum, mental health as an athlete and for anyone listening, I think is really, really important and really important to stress.
For sure. And I think you hit the nail on it. Like, I think when it comes to injuries, like, that can take a really toll on somebody's mental because it's like, you never know, like, the recovery process. How long is it going to be? And am I missing something? And sometimes, like, it just kind of have you thinking, like, where am I without my sport if I'm injured, like,
Yeah.
and everything. So I think that's one of the biggest things that's not talked about enough is like how does the injury plays in the toll of the mental, but also sometimes the performance anxiety can take a toll on the mental, especially if say you're in a new system or you're in a new school or you in like say you go to a college and the system that coaches put in it doesn't fit like your running style or something. I think those
Yes.
are the things that doesn't really get talked about enough in the aspect of the mental health and sports aspects.
Hmm. Yes. I think, yeah, just adding in like more programs. I feel like, I mean, at UCI, we have three people that we can go talk to for mental health now. And I think that's a big bonus for us as athletes because when I first got there, it was about one. There was one person, and they're usually always busy. So I feel like the more we increase those resources, especially in schools, the less issues we're going to find ourselves as athletes. And also, I mean, those who aren't athletes as well. I mean, just the importance of mental health for your academics and your schooling and with family. I think it's something that's really important and something that's going to take people far in life, the stronger their mental health is.
For sure. And this leads to my question is, you know, um, when it comes to representation, especially having someone that looks up to you as an athlete, both on and off the court or on and off the field, how important is representation?
I think representation is one of the biggest things. Uh, To have people look up to you is something that I feel like is one of the biggest things or compliments that someone could ever get. Um, I mean, coming from a big family, I have my younger siblings looking up to me, but I also have other people outside of that. Like I got other runners, I got high schoolers, collegiate people, collegiate runners, athletes from all sports that look up to me. And I think the way you present yourself is the way people are going to want to be. So the more you have a stronger mental health aspect, physical aspect, the way you train, like people are going to want to, the way people are going to look up to you and they're going to want to train like you and they want to be like you. So the more you promote those positive things that we're talking about, like mental health, the better off and the better that person is going to be. So I think representation is something that's really big, especially in sports.
Absolutely, because all I know is if let somebody tell me I look up to you, I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna cry a little bit, just happy tears.
Yeah.
I be like, because I was like, I thank you, but like, don't make me cry. Try not to cry. It's like I just worked out. I'm trying not to cry now. No. So, but this leads to my question. If there was a word or a phrase to describe your journey so far, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good one because my journey has definitely been a long one. Hmm, I would say resilience. And I would say resilience because I grew up in not only a hard, hard but hard environment, but also I grew up dealing with a lot of medical issues as well growing up as a kid. So I would say resilience is a word that describes my whole journey from the time I was born to right now as we're speaking.
Resilience might be the word of the year again for this podcast because I was like, dang, like it's such a good word because it's like it's so real because it's like resilience goes along with perseverance. So it's like, wow. So it's like you got to persevere, and then you resilient. So it's like I think resilience might be the word of the year again so far. So, but I think but also, like, if you think about it, like the trials and tribulations can turn into a testimony of what you go through. So it's like
Yes.
all the things that say you may have struggled can turn into say a testimony or for somebody like, look, I know we may not know what we gone through, but I'm gonna tell you this, like you just gotta keep going because at the end of the day, it may rain one day, but it's gonna sunshine the next day. So
Yes.
so this leads to my question is outside of your sport, what do you want people to remember you for your legacy?
Ooh, outside of the sport, I would love people to remember me for my ooh, there's there's a couple words I want to use.
Go for it.
Probably for my humility, or no, not am I using that word right? Like humbleness, I would say. I feel like I've specifically grown as a person, especially in running. My my I feel like as runners, we have to be as humble as possible because we can let our egos grow pretty big, especially if we get faster. And I, it's always important, especially to me, to keep that level because you never know what's going to happen. You can have such an amazing season, be the best runner ever, and then all of a sudden it just comes crumbling down. And then at that point, it's like, what do you have? And people are looking up to you or looking at you. And I would say, yeah, I would say my humbleness is something I would like to be remembered for because growing up, I had my coach always instill that in me in high school and always try to be a servant towards others as well. Always try to serve other people, always try to be helping others. And I think that's something that as people and humans, we should always be striving for. So I'd say that is my humbleness and my servitude towards others.
Ooh, servitude is giving like the faith in a way, like, you know, which I could definitely see you big in your faith. So, and this leads to the question of how do you balance your faith and track and field simultaneously?
So that's a really good question. In high school, my coach was also big in his faith as well. So it started in high school. We would always talk after runs, like we'd go sit down and go have dinner, or not dinner, sorry, breakfast, and we'd talk about our faith. And every day we'd always take at least an hour out of my day in time to learn and grow in my faith as a person. And to translate that into running, like I said, with servitude, I'm always the person that's serving the other. So, like whether that be helping others, whether that be growing someone as an individual, or I mean, in general, anything that requires servitude. So, I would say the way I handle and balance that is by carving a chunk of time, preferably an hour as soon as I'm done running, to just reflect and write about. If you do physical notes or even in the notes app, just write about your faith and be thankful for what you have, what you've been given, in a sense.
Man, that's real. Look, I gotta get my little shakers right there because it's so real, so real, so real. Because one thing for sure is servitude. Like you could serve when you serve people, it's not just like the physicality. You serve people like the speak life into them. Speak like say you speak life into them. Like and that even says it in Proverbs. Like you speak life into
Yeah.
somebody. Just be a good person, but also make sure if you see like everybody always say everybody likes to be held until it's accountability time. So it's
Yeah.
like something ain't right, but like be your friend, but tell them like, hey, this ain't what it's looking like. It's like this is we're gonna make sure you good, but gotta keep it going. So
Hmm.
but and this so I always ask my guests this question. So bonafide means authentic, unique, but for the men is the authenticity. So what makes Mr. Juan Chantaca this is a blooper for a moment because I was making sure I said your last name. I was like, is it right? Is it Chantaca?
Yeah.
Oh, thank
You
you. I
got
was
it
making
right.
sure if I was corrected. So what makes Mr. Juan Chantaca authentic and what makes your story stands out?
One thing that makes me authentic, like we were talking about, is my servitude towards others. And it goes back to growing up. I mean, didn't have the best childhood, but I was given everything from my mother and father. And it also goes into my faith as well. Growing up, I was always told to serve others, be there for other people, lift them up, and inspire them to be what they're meant to be. And I also like to use this. Not only do I serve others, but I like to be the light in other people's worlds and light them up. Be be like a candle and use that candle to light another wick, in a sense.
Mm.
So as a kid, even though I had a hard upbringing, I was still that light towards others for those who were struggling or having mental health issues or even in running in general. I was always that person and will still always be there for other people to lighten their world or bring them up. So I'd say the one thing that makes me authentic is my servitude.
Ooh. When you said be the light for others, it's like, oh, it's giving Psalms 119, 105. Be the light. Hello. So let them know what it is. So Juan, can you let us know how everybody can follow you and support you in any upcoming events happening your way?
Yeah, you anyone can follow me on Instagram. If you just type in my name, Juan Chantaca. I always have to look back at my Instagram handle because I can't. I always forget what it is. But either that or mm, my TikTok isn't really big, so I just say yeah, my Instagram, and then they would be able to just follow at UCI cross country and track. And most of our meets are pretty close by, so anyone ever wants to come out and talk or even just come support.
Y'all be sure to follow the man, the myth, the legend himself, Juan Chantaka at it's like Juani Juanyy. There's four Y's and a number two.
And then
So
number two, yes, I always
yes,
forget what it is.
it's all good. I got you. So be sure to follow him and be sure to follow UCI for their latest upcoming cross country and track and field season because the season is coming up, y'all. It's coming. It's coming. So be sure to support Juan and all the UCI athletes and be sure to check out Juan and support Juan as well. And be sure to check out the live replay of Bonafide Her podcast, episode 245 featuring Juan Chantaka. Big shout out to Juan for coming on the podcast. And thank you guys for tuning in. Peace.